So welcome to the ADSA Data Science Education SIG meeting. Today we're going to be talking about an idea that has cropped up in a number of discussions over the last year for us, which is this idea of compiling information about data science programs across the US to try to get a sense for how they compare at different levels. So I'm dropping a notes document in the chat. If folks could go there and contribute and drop your name in so we can follow up later. And I think we're a small enough group so far that what I'd like to do is just hold all of the discussion in this space instead of doing breakout rooms. So if you have, I think we can just sort of freeform this. We don't need to over-engineer how we run the discussion. So folks can chime in or drop comments in the chat, and we'll see how it goes that way. So there are a few prompts there at the bottom of the notes document. Some kind of general questions or topics that have come up as we've thought about this as a project that ADSA could take on. And so we'll try to hit on all of those. But what I'd like to do is to go around real quick and have folks introduce themselves, say who they are and where they're coming to us from, and then we'll get the discussion going. So I'll call out names because I can see them in order here. So you can do intros. So Trisha, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Trish Fountain. I am the Education Program Manager for the Michigan Institute for Data Science. So we are not a direct degree granting office at university, but we do design, advise, and we do actually collaborate and track degree programs with the Data Science Certificate, Master's Program in Data Science, and then, of course, serve students with an interest in data science across the university.
Great. How about Erin?
Hi, I'm Erin Frankl. I'm an assistant teaching professor at UC San Diego, and I'm also chair of the undergraduate data science program there. We have about 1,000 students between our majors and our minors, and are also currently getting a master's program off the ground.
Great. Abani?
Sabiani Patra, I'm at Tufts University. We are starting off a PhD program, hopefully at some point next year. We have a couple master's programs, one on data science, one on data analytics. And there's a variety of mixed up master's programs which have specific foci, nutrition, data science, and things of that nature.
Great. Let's see, Angela.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Berardinelli. I'm at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. I see one of my colleagues, Josh, is also on the call, so I'll let him talk about our graduate programs. But I've been mostly involved in the development of our new data science bachelor's program here at UNC Charlotte. I'm a lecturer in the computer science department, but also joint faculty in our School of Data Science.
Excellent. Josh, do you want to go ahead since you were just called out?
Sure. I'm Josh Patel. I'm director of the School of Data Science. And I pretend like I know what data science is, but I'm just the operations guy. I oversee our graduate programs in health informatics and analytics and our data science and business analytics master's programs, recruitment, placement, industry engagement, those kinds of things. Angela and Sungjun Park are the real experts around data science, and I do what they tell me to do.
Perfect. How about Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark Reyes from Penn State University. I'm an assistant teaching professor in the College of Information Science and Technology, and part of our data science undergraduate program here. I sit on kind of the cross-college data science curriculum committee because our data science program is a major that goes across 3 different colleges: the College of Engineering with Computer Science, the College of Science with Statistics, and then my information college. So before that, I was actually a functioning data scientist down in Washington, D.C., working for a couple government agencies.
Great. Vikas?
Hi, everyone. I guess I'm a little different from everyone. I'm a postdoc here at the University of Washington in the Department of Biomedical Informatics. I still have connections with the eScience Institute here at the University of Washington. And a lot of my understanding of data science in academia has come through, is shaped by the eScience Institute and the Moore Sloan environments. And I'm just more curious to learn about how these programs are structured outside of this environment, and just as someone, the postdoc who's on the job market, just trying to understand what data science means and how it's taught at different places.
Great. Ben?
Yes, hi. Like Vikas, I'm at the University of Washington. I'm also a fellow of the eScience Institute and a professor in the anthropology department. And we have just created a new minor in data science, an interdisciplinary minor in data science for humanities, social science, and art students. And I'm the director of this new minor. Thanks.
Great. Eric?
Hi, I'm Eric Van Duzen from UC Berkeley. We have a major and a minor under great popularity and growth. I only work on the undergrad side. There's also a master's program that I'm not as much part of. And we're building a sort of a new division college around data science, and that's which we will also be a small subset of. But I also convene people. Berkeley has like an open source curriculum, and I convene people in a summer workshop around undergrad data science efforts in California and nationally and internationally.
Great. How about Greg?
Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Dobler. I'm at the University of Delaware. I'm a faculty at the Biden School of Public Policy and Administration. Also have a minority appointment in physics there. I came to UD a couple of years ago, recruited as part of a new data science institute that we just started here a couple of years ago. In parallel, there's so it's not under the Data Science Institute, but we have a master's program in data science. It's also just getting off the ground. We have, it's growing pretty fast. Last year we had, I think, 5 students. This year we had 40 students who are coming in September. We also have 4+1 programs growing around the university. So for example, there's a 4+1 in physics, where the 4 is in physics, and then +1 is for a master's in data science.
Great. Sungjin, Jeffrey, Leah, and Rajesh. Why don't you guys go in that order?
Hello, I'm Samson Park. I'm working closely with Josh from UNC Charlotte, and I'm the new graduate program director, so I'm trying to learn as much as I can in a short period of time. Thank you.
Great.
I am Jeffrey Bloom. I'm at Vanderbilt University. I'm the Director of Graduate Education for the Data Science Institute here, which is in the university. I'm also, my primary appointment's in biostatistics, which is in our School of Medicine. And our graduate program is pretty new. This is our 2nd year. And we are starting a undergrad minor in data science, which I'm not directly doing, but I'm involved with at the moment, so.
Great. And Leah?
Hi, I'm Leah Shannon, former co-executive director of the South Big Data Innovation Hub, and now I'm a senior research fellow at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm advising the Earth Observation Informatics program, which is a new master's program, and hoping to get them to incorporate more data science into their programs.
Great. And then Rajesh, do you want to intro, or I know you're multitasking here.
So I'm Rajesh Gupta, and The sign behind me is KDD, which I'm hosting right now. So, in case I do drop out, I know I asked Erin Frankl, I think he's online, so he anyway knows more about our education program than I do. I'm director of Halijivolo Data Science Institute. It's about 2 years old institute, which is like an academic institution. We have an undergraduate program with nearly 1,000 students currently, and we are in the process of launching an online master's program as well as a regular graduate and PhD program in the years to come.
Great, thank you. So I think that's everyone. If I miss someone, speak up now, or if you don't want to introduce yourself, that's fine too. Oh, I did miss someone. It is, who is it?
Allison.
It's Allison.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm Allison. I'm an assistant teaching professor at the Bren School of Environmental Science and Management at UC Santa Barbara. We currently have a master's focus in environmental data science, but starting next August, we have a new master's degree program, a one-year program in environmental data science. So really excited to learn more about the landscape overall.
Great, thanks. Sorry we missed you. So the group grew a little bit while we were doing introductions. So what I think we'll probably wind up doing is breaking out into a few breakout rooms for discussion and then come back. But so what I think I'd like to try to do today is to really just explore this idea, to see how feasible this is as a thing that we could gather data on, how useful it would be to have information like this to compare across programs, and how to keep such a thing updated, because it's going to take some work. And I think ADSA would be willing to put in the work to keep this updated with support from community members like you all. So we have these prompt questions here at the bottom, and what I'd like to do is to break us out into 3 breakout rooms to discuss those prompts and anything else that comes up while you're chatting. And then we'll come back probably 20 minutes before 11 or before the hour to do a little bit of a report out and then kind of think about what next steps are. So we're not gonna today solve this problem or really decide exactly what to do, but I think we just want to explore these ideas, and then in the coming months, we may try to reconvene or pull together a working group to actually start work on this, if it seems like a good idea still. So if there are any questions about that, now's the time. If not, I will use my powers to break us out into breakout rooms.
Okay, can I just ask for a little bit about the prompts?
Mm-hmm.
So they're super general.
Yep.
So are you looking, I mean, what sort of information are we thinking? Are we thinking scope, cost, time, credits, levels? I mean, it just seems really, really.
Yeah, I mean, it is very general, because this idea has been presented to us in a number of different ways, and it all feels very general. I think that one of the things that has been brought up a number of times in discussions over the last year is from two main things. One is from an industry perspective. So when people are trying to hire data scientists out of whatever level they're trying to hire them at, it apparently is pretty unclear what it means to, say, have an undergraduate degree in data science or a PhD in data science. What are the kind of core skills that people are coming out of those programs with, or what are the core skills that we would want them to come out of those programs with? And so I think getting a sense for even just what coursework people have as options in their programs may help clarify that a little bit. The second thing that we're trying to maybe help with here is for schools that are trying to stand up data science degree programs, getting an understanding of what other schools are doing with respect to coursework and credits and things like that. Also, this is a product that could be helpful in that space, but I'm sure there are other ideas out there for what would be useful. Greg, you seem unmuted and ready to talk.
I also have one quick clarifying question.
Yeah.
What about interdisciplinary programs that have a data science component but are not necessarily called data science degree programs?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to hear about that too. I mean, one of the potential outcomes of this discussion could be that this is really just too complicated a space to try to do any kind of standardized cross comparison in. And as soon as we start adding in interdisciplinary programs or programs that aren't called data science, but that are like data science flavored, I think we start to tread into that space a little bit. So we'll want to explore that a little. Mark, did you have a question?
Yeah, just real quick. I'm sorry if I'm dense, but I'm reading this. And I appreciate that questions are asked about these prompts because I really didn't understand them at all.
Sure.
But how do we anticipate this will be used? How can this stay updated? What's the product that we're actually talking about? Is it actually some sort of just like a compilation of what is in the, is that what's
yeah,
in
I mean, I think that at the very, at its simplest, this could be just a comparison of programs. So coursework required, credits required at different levels. But this could be a lot of different things.
Okay.
Sorry for the vagueness there.
And then can I just ask a follow-up question? You said that there were questions coming about what it means to have a degree in data science. Can you just elaborate on if you're getting those questions, if your institute or if your program is getting questions from a specific set of constituents? Who are we designing this tool for? Is it inward facing, outward facing, hoping to be both?
I think it's hoping to be both. The questions are coming to us just in discussions that we have with people at different universities and colleges.
Gotcha.
Right? So, and some of those institutions have programs in place already or trying to stand up new programs. And so we kind of see this huge variety of stages colleges and universities are at with respect to building degree programs. And then we also hear from industry and folks who are trying to hire data scientists and are experiencing some confusion about what any of these degrees really mean in a sense.
Okay, so, thanks.
Yep. Okay, so with all of that totally clear now, and these super helpful prompts in place, I'm going to break us out into some breakout rooms. We can have some discussion in those rooms about kind of what this type of comparison might look like and whether it's useful at all. And then we'll come back in, it looks like about 20 minutes for a little bit of report back. So I'm going to stop recording. I won't record during the breakouts because it's hard to do that. And then we'll record when we come back. Okay, welcome back from the breakout rooms. So I know that wasn't a super long amount of time to talk about what's kind of a complicated thing, but maybe we can get a little bit of a report back from each of the groups and then talk briefly about what we think useful next steps might be and who might want to be involved. So whoever was in breakout room 1, if somebody from that group could give us a little update. That was...
I'll vote for Eric since he seemed to be organizing the most.
I was going to vote for Jeff. That's so funny.
You do half, I'll do half.
Okay, some quick things from our group were... we talked about that it seems like the EU is starting to make standards and the US there aren't standards. So would an effort like this be related to having national standards on what a data science program should include? We talked about, for us as stakeholders wanting to be able to communicate to employers what a data science like bachelor's or master's is. So developing consensus around what it means would be a reason to have this product. We talked about maybe talking to employers and people getting hired into the field? And is there some part of this product that maps like employable tools? I guess we went in many side directions. One was also gathering syllabi, like when you're a stakeholder and you're looking at setting up other programs, you can figure out sometimes like what's required and what the credits are, but you can't always figure out what's in the main like DS1 or DS100 or whatever that DS core class is. So could collecting like syllabi be part of it? And then somebody added on to that, sometimes data science programs are sort of like just adapted from existing stats curriculum. And when does it actually constitute like novel curriculum? Jeff, you want to tag team?
Yeah, I thought, I mean, I haven't just gone through this for a couple of years. I know other people got, it would be good to have some sort of repository that just says what the program is. You can divide up by undergraduate, graduate, how many semesters, how many credits, you know, what the names of the course required courses are, and then electives, and then try and hook a syllabus to them. And I think that would be very helpful. We, at least, and so what seems to me is there are two different approaches. There's some people who are building from the ground up, and there's some people who are just repurposing what they have. And so it's Stat 101, now called Data Science 101, and they're still teaching concepts in there that maybe I might not put in my data science class. At Vanderbilt, when I started the curriculum, I only agreed to do it if we could build it from the ground up, because I didn't want to repurpose things. And so that, you know, is good, but it turns out to be a lot of work. And so I looked around to get a lot of good ideas and put things together. If I had a repository like this, that would be very helpful, even just to see where how people lined up, sequenced some concepts, you know, and how people are thinking about fitting things together. And I know we did some unique things at Vanderbilt that other folks might fit better in a data science program for other folks. And so some way for someone to get an overview of that, I think would be helpful with a contact number. Someone wanted to call and talk with me, I think that would be good. Into sort of what people teach is much harder. Until we can get that first level squared away, it's much harder to then go into, you know, what are you teaching and should you be teaching this or should you not? Which I think is very hard. The space is just so big. And Eric also mentioned that there's lots of different flavors. So some programs, you know, are a little bit more CS, some are more statty, some have a very big emphasis on their connections to social works and social justice and ethics and things like this that other programs may not have. And so it would be good to get that flavor too, but I don't know quite how to capture it.
Great, thank you. What about the second breakout room?
I guess I can speak for us. We have some detailed notes in the doc about essentially what we talked about, but we talked about much bigger picture stuff in terms of how the different degree programs that we're all involved in were structured, how they were different, how they were similar. We think that very similar to what Jeff was just talking about, if you have experience trying to build one of these from the ground up, it was very time consuming, a lot of work. And so something like this would certainly help fill that gap and make it a little easier for data science to expand into new places. We also talked a lot about specialization versus broad data science and how you could store that in some sort of repository, given that it is such a huge space. I don't want to repeat too much of what was just said. And then we did discuss briefly, I don't know if this is in the, oh yeah, it is in there, but master's and undergraduate programs are growing, but it's still very hard to think about what a PhD program looks like. And so I think specializing at each level would be helpful if we were going to put something like this together, because that's uncharted territory for a lot of us.
I think the only other thing that I would add from what we talked about that seemed relevant to what something Eric was mentioning is that a standard, like what a standard curriculum or not might look like if you're a data science program, and also bringing in the different flavors of data science programs. There's really, those don't even exist right in industry as practicing data scientists, as of this moment. Like specialization is definitely occurring, but you're quite often not sure what you're actually applying for until, like what sort of job you're actually applying for, if you're going to ship code versus, do stats in a GUI, like until the interview process. And so managing that sort of dance where, industry has not figured it out either, is sort of, is a difficult proposition. And so perhaps organizing these flavors in some sane way would be really productive, not only for departments, but for people hiring from these departments.
Yeah, I don't know how far this tool would go if we're only giving categories and names to data science programs when industry still is using one job description to describe 20 different types of jobs. So they need a working group too.
We'll recommend that. What about Breakout 3? I see there aren't any notes there, but maybe you took them somewhere else. If you could dump them in when you have a minute.
I did. I will dump them in right after this discussion. So, and anybody who else was in this group, please jump in. I'm sure I'll miss something. I'm going to try to condense this down because we had a lot of discussions and a lot of it was overlapping with some of the things that were already said. We had extensive discussions about the relationship between this and accreditation, and the way that this is starting to feel like a sort of creeping towards an accreditation process, which there was a lot of concern, might not be the right word, but trepidation about that maybe, especially given, in each, we all had our own discussions about how, like, within each program, there's diversity among the people running the program, even as to what exactly it is. And then, so if you then try to apply that, enhance the scope, broaden the scope of that to be multiple universities, multiple programs, that gets to be very, very tricky, especially if you're talking about things like standards. So we did start to come to a sense that something like this might be really, that there are other entities that have created sort of user-facing lists of kinds of programs that are out there, things like stats or business analytics or stuff. They're like, here's a list of programs in this area, and here's a link to their department web pages and that kind of stuff, right? The thinking was that a lot of that was through the professional organizations within a given subfield. So maybe it's a little bit different since data science doesn't really have a professional organization yet, right? So there's some difficulty there, but there was a discussion that we had at the end about potentially using this as a way to be more of a community-based tool. So can you upload information about your program, and if it gets into broader use, potential students can find out what they might get, why this kind of program is unique relative to others. Does it have more of that social focus, or does it have more of a comp sci focus, or whatever? Right? What are they looking for? What are the kind of connections that can be made through this program, et cetera? And then just towards the end of the discussion, there was a question of, and this gets to the updating frequency, right? So that was maybe a way around this sort of updating frequency. If it was like something that, became big and folks recognized this was an important place to advertise yourself and to put yourself out there as a program. And then also to compare your program against others for, assessment and things. But then towards the end, we also had a discussion about, well, before we get to the point where it's broadly used, well, what's the carrot, right? Why would somebody want to invest time in doing something like this? So maybe one of the things could be like outreach to various programs to say, hey, let's start collecting some of this. We think this will be really useful. We have some backing among the community that something like this could be useful for letting employers and students know what they're going to get out of a program or out of graduates of that program.
Great, thank you. Anything else from group 3? So, okay, so I think we've just got a few minutes left here. I think, you know, at the surface of this, and what I'm hearing from the breakouts is that this seems like a project that would be useful, right? I think that we've heard that from a number of folks. What the shape of it looks like is a little bit mysterious at this point, but what I would like to do is to try to distill this discussion and get that distillation back out to all of you, and then maybe have reconvening or an asynchronous discussion about what next steps might look like. Our annual meeting is coming up in October, so we're pretty ready to go dark on SIGs and working groups for the next month or so, just because we're in conference planning mode. But this might be something that we could pick up in November or early 2021 as kind of a concerted effort that we could help wrangle, if that makes sense to folks.
Steve, this may be a good thing to introduce somewhere in the annual meeting for a few minutes.
Yeah, I think we're still trying to find some time at the annual meeting to talk about a lot of these little initiatives that have sprung up over the last 9 months or so, and to try to drum up interest. So I think this will be one that we'll try to advertise so that we can get some more participants. So does that sound like a fair next step to folks?
Very good.
Great. So expect to hear from me probably early next week with a bit of a distillation and what seems like reasonable next steps. And then we will move on from there. Thanks everyone for participating today. It's a good discussion, and I think we'll be hearing more about this in the next few months. Bye-bye.